Hello my friends, hope you're having a good day, evening or night wherever you are. Today we're back filming a brand new event for the hospice, and this one's called Jail and Bail, and the idea behind this is some fundraising business owners are arrested and then locked up in live escape rooms, well, put to court, then locked up in live escape rooms to then face bail, where they've got to raise money for Salisbury Hospice. So thank you to the hospice team for inviting us down to cover this event. Enjoy the shooting experience, and I'll see you very, very soon. Hello my friends, welcome to post-edit me talking through the edit to break it down, hopefully add some more value to you. This video is mostly shot on two lenses, the 18-200 that you'll see a little bit later, and the Sigma 18-35 f1.8 on the GH5 with the Tita Follow Focus system. And I was debating when I was initially approached about covering this event whether I would cover it handheld, which is the decision I ended up actually following, or whether I was going to do some of these earlier shots on the gimbal. And the main reason why I chose to go handheld was because I was concerned about, firstly, the fatigue, because the gimbal obviously adds a lot more weight, but also I wanted to have the opportunity to be able to move around, change lenses, rebalance, and I wasn't 100% sure how much time I would have in between what I would call and what I would describe as the key actionable moments, the things that are really going to make up this coverage. So we had this first section where these criminals, quote unquote, e.g. the fundraisees, were being arrested by Wiltshire Police, who generously volunteered their time to be part of Jail and Bail. And this was, there was some kind of quote unquote joke crimes, things like eating too many biscuits, nicking the biscuits in the office, etc. These kind of, it's all meant to be fun and enjoyable, but they were real handcuffs, from what I was told. So there we go, that's a fun fact. But something that I did run into, and you can see it briefly here, is the focus motor that I'm using. It relies on a kind of plastic gear system that you can attach to the focus ring. And something that, if you do have this system, and something that you should potentially consider or potentially, think about, is making sure that that actual plastic or etc. Is tight enough to the lens to actually make good contact with the focus wheel that you're obviously going to be turning with the Tita Follow Focus system. This is not as much of an issue if you have a larger lens, like I do for wildlife, for example, because I use the same system for wildlife, and because the lens is larger and I'm at the end of the focus kind of range, I guess you could say, or how much I need to really pull it down, it doesn't cause me much of an issue. But if you don't have it as pulled down to the lens mount specifically, or the lens ring specifically, you can have jumping. And also, just double check your rails when you set this up as well, because the focus throw on this lens, or when you try and pull focus, if the rail's slightly not, fully secured onto your below the rig, in most cases below the camera, where you'll be attaching your rails, it can cause issues when with the wheel which you're turning, which is then turning another gear to pull critical focus, can give you a little bit of issues. I had a couple of slipping issues, and this isn't the first occurrence, so something that I will be mentioning a little bit in my review, but I thought it was valuable to mention here. And yeah, so the event kind of carried on. There was some, obviously we were still at the stage where we were arresting people here, and a little bit later on, unfortunately the GoPro, for whatever reason, decided it didn't want to continue filming. So advice, if you are using a GoPro as a BTS camera, then just double check it and review where you can those recordings, and double check, because I've had some card issues and etc. lately. But this is just me changing on to the 18-200, and the main reason for this was for me to number one, get variation in millimeter range, but also number two, I wasn't 100% sure how close socially it would be acceptable for us to be when it came to filming in the Oak Court, which is what will come in this establisher here. As you can see, it's a lovely, great old court building in the Guildhall in Salisbury, and I wanted the extra range just to make sure I could still get mids to tights on faces, etc., because they had a judge, and this guy's the executioner who comes in a little bit later, because the whole
premise of this event was the quote-unquote criminals were meant to be put to a juror or into court to whether they were going to get bail or not, and then they were then going to be locked up, particularly in live escape rooms Salisbury that are just over from the Guildhall as well. So this was them prepping the I think they were rope kind of handcuffs to really show that the prisoners could be escorted to their prison cells. But the one things to be aware of if you're going to be using the 18-200 is obviously you're going to sacrifice that little bit of light. Number one, it is a variable aperture lens. It's a f 3.5 to 5.6, so you only have the 3.5 at the 18mm end, and then it will slowly stop down as you zoom in. The main reason why I find this lens specifically very valuable is because in one lens I can get mids, tights, etc. This is where BTS footage disappears, unfortunately, but I can get mids, tights, and gain a lot of coverage really quickly without swapping lenses. So it's really great for gimbal work, it's really great for handheld work, and as I say, some tips and tricks when you're shooting telephoto. This was up in the balcony where we started, and then we head down into the courtroom as well, is to either get something like this, which is kind of foreground, very, very close to the lens, even at f4, f3, even f5, it's still going to create some level of depth and some level of background blur for you. But also, if you can find kind of a quote-unquote natural tripod, like I did here, I was on I found a flat space I could lean the camera on, and it just is going to create more stable footage. So instead of necessarily having it at 100mm, 135mm, and you trying to handhold that, think about, does your camera have image stabilization? GH5 is known for really, really great stabilization. I then swap back to the 18-35 here to get some wider perspectives, but I also mainly did this to make sure that I would have the right lens on for the following section when we go outside. I wanted to make sure I had the 18-35 on here, but the key when it comes to shooting on longer lenses, to make sure I've used my knee previously, I've used rails previously, I've used, just find some extra level when it comes to stabilizing the camera, because one of the most amateur looks you can have in footage is what could be described as micro jitter when it comes to smaller mirrorless cameras. This is another reason why I like to rig up my cameras as well. And as we're talking about stabilization, something I thought I would mention in this video is the ability, if you do, I have an EVF on the GH5, and in bright midday sunlight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, summer's day sunlight like we have here, I found it very, very difficult to operate through the LCD screen. Now, this can be, fixed by having an external monitor, of course, but that adds more weight, that adds more batteries to think about. Something to, if you're graced with the opportunity, depending on what cameras you're shooting on, if you can shoot video through your EVF, it will be a way for you to still be able to shoot effectively in bright sunlight. But this is just them wrapping up where they actually got locked up, and then they had a couple of hours to get up to their 1,000 or 999 target, which they did, I'm pleased to report. I think they ended up reaching just around about £7,000 in the actual fundraising event for Salisbury Hospice.
Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gents. I hope you took value from this video. If you did, and you would like to hear how video can help your business in 2024, I'll leave my information somewhere around this video, and I'll see you very, very soon.